We are back with Techstrong Gang, and we're going to talk about a simpler, more focused VMware. Or at least that's the intent. So one of the benefits, evidently, of what VMware is trying to do is simplify their product lineup, so there's less variation across customers. Everyone's going to be licensed for the entire VMware Cloud Foundation suite, rather than making these a la carte purchases of combinations, as was standard in the past. So I'm going to throw it to Steven and ask him about this approach. And I gather the idea is large customers would then be using the top of the range VCF. That would be the focus, I guess, from the company and what they're trying to do. I leave it up to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talked about this last Tuesday on the Techstrong Gang as well, that essentially, as they said they were going to, Broadcom has focused VMware on VMware Cloud Foundation and has simplified everything. Now, that is remarkable. Those of us who've been in the space for a long time know how insanely complicated and confusing the VMware product lineup and licensing lineup was previously. Well, now it's pretty darn straightforward. And I actually really like this idea that essentially, look, you're going all in on VCF, we're going all in on you. Essentially, you're our kind of customer, you're doing our kind of thing. So we're going to build a product that is everything you want it to be and give you everything of that product. It's the opposite of the legendary like BMW heated seats subscription fee. I mean, this is basically, look, if you're gonna use our product and if you're gonna standardize on our product, then we're gonna give you everything and let you do everything with it, which is pretty cool. And I've had the opportunity to be part of the recording of the Techstrong Tech Field Day event that's actually happening right now. And as soon as you're done listening to this, I urge you to check it out. It's available as well, sort of post viewing if you miss any part of it. But essentially, that's what VMware has done with VCF, is that they have built this thing. They stripped out a lot. Yes, they've stripped out customers, they've stripped out features, they've stripped out capabilities, huge licensing SKUs. And what remains is essentially a purpose-built private cloud for large enterprise. And this thing is pretty impressive. I don't know if y'all have checked it out. Anybody else be involved in this? And what do you think of this VCF9 trend?
I'm sorry, yeah, Mitch.
To jump in on this, when I took over an IT organization in 2010, and one of the initial things I wanted to do is how can we put our VMware infrastructure on a website or have something where it's self-service. And so this is that realization of that, where now it's platform engineers, developers. You can even integrate Argo CD to do GitOps on this new platform, the VCF platform. So I think it's a very smart move by Broadcom to be able to say, stay home. You don't need to leave the town, the state, the country. You can stay right where you are and you'll get what you want that you can get from a cloud provider on your own infrastructure, to try to, I would say stave off moving, or for those that said it's too costly or too difficult to move. I really don't have to move off of VMware now. And that simplification of the product SKUs, excuse me, Freudian slip there. All of the SKUs that they had were just ungodly. It was like tracking Microsoft SKUs. It was a beast to figure out what you got to pay for and keep your costs down.
And it's funny because people like to criticize Broadcom and say, "Oh, they're just extracting money from the customer." How was the million different licensing SKUs any different, right?
Well, the price did raise, let's face it. But let's be clear. It's not just you don't have to leave, you could stay here. You could take it with you too. If you want to go to the public cloud, this plays really well. And they talk about their relationships with AWS and Microsoft and Google for taking Cloud Foundation 9 up there. So, and especially when we live in a hybrid multi-cloud world where I don't want to run one thing on my private cloud here or in my data center and run something else there and something else here, and I got to learn 3 different things, right? I want to standardize. I just want to quickly come back to the fact that, hey, if you're watching this right now, we're going to end in 3 or 4 minutes. head on over. I don't have it's techstrongevents.com. And from there, it's the first thing right on the screen. You could click through, register for free, and get right on there. You probably only missed the first session. And what's nice is all of these sessions are available on demand. You can watch them in whatever order you want, actually. So head on over to Techstrong Events, click through, watch this. If you're watching this on our Techstrong TV broadcast, obviously, which goes off Tuesday morning at 9:30 a.m., and it's about 10 a.m. now, 10 after. But, it is available fully on demand. So if you're watching this later or you don't have time to click over now, you can go over to techstrongevents.com, register, and watch it on your time. You won't be able to ask questions and interact with some of the speakers and everything, but you'll still get the benefits. Stephen, what are there, 5 or 6, I think, different sessions here?
Yeah. So there's, as you mentioned, the first section is sort of the overall what's new session. Then there's, best practices for deploying VCF, more about the private cloud on demand stuff, as Mitch mentioned. The shift toward self-service, platform for developing applications. My favorite, unpacking storage, all about storage in VCF. And then finally, security and resilience. So all those
Again,
different sessions.
last.
Yeah, finally.
I
But it's
have a
included.
question. I have a question before we go. Am I the only one questioning, since there is a good number of the product management team that stayed with Broadcom after the move and the acquisition? Am I the only one that's questioning the leadership of VMware in not being able to if product management was able to come up with this under Broadcom, they must have had these ideas under VMware. And was there not friction between product management and leadership?
I don't want to talk out of school, but JP, that is 100% correct. There were people at VMware saying this well before Broadcom was sniffing around the company.
Yeah, but sometimes it takes change to accept change, right? And yeah, that's all true. But you got to give, I think I wrote this on a social media post or in the article. I wrote a couple of articles on this. You know what? For all those people who gave Broadcom grief that this was the death of VMware and this was going to make a mass exodus from VMware, Hang and the Broadcom people are crazy like a fox. They saw this had to be done and they got it done. I applaud them for it. Head over to Techstrong Events and check it out. Be your own judge. Don't listen to any of us pundits.
It's pretty good advice generally.
Yeah. All right. Hey, I think that's going to wrap us up here today for Tuesday's Techstrong Gang. I'm going to be on the road tomorrow. John and Mitch are driving the bus, and they'll keep it. I'm sure they'll do a great job. JP, Stephen, John, Mitch, thanks for joining us. Thank you for joining us. You can watch the rest of Techstrong TV, but I'm telling you, go over to Techstrong Events and go watch the Broadcom event. Until next time, this is Alan Schimmel for Techstrong. We're out.